the Millennium Falcon for Christmas when I was 7, and I kept it in pretty perfect condition, pulled it out of my attic at home and let my kids play with it, and it's now destroyed. It's quite a difficult process, to be honest, when someone says you've got to take inspiration of Star Wars and create rag and bone clothes and not to let it become costumey. Every other space movie pretty much is set in the future. Star Wars seems to be set in the past, and it just feels like a completely believable parallel dimension as opposed to what the future could look like.
Hi!
Yes, Your Highness.
Quilting and puffers is something we do a lot of, and military-inspired pieces obviously is a huge part of the brand. Incredibly functional detail with the lacing down the side. You can adjust the fit to suit your body. That look was largely inspired by the ice planet before. The Ellis boot is hugely popular for us, something that I really love. The quilting at the back and the Bombay patent leather strap with the red detail to give it just a hint of Star Wars without just, going overboard. The age-old core of the Star Wars franchise is the power of myth and the battle between good and evil. It signifies the obvious sort of contrast. Luke Skywalker's my favourite character. I was obsessed with the Jedi factor. I was pretty convinced that if I thought hard enough, I could have the Force.
Years ago, you served my father.
Mark is, for me, an icon. I managed to go and meet him, and I took my son Henry. I have a picture, and I look even happier than Henry does. The remit for this was to create looks that our customer would actually understand, as well as the Star Wars fan. They would be able to relate to it, link back to the film. So this piece is exactly as any rag and bone product would be. It's quilted, and it's got the Velcro and the rib cuffs, the Riri zips that we always use, apart from the jump to light speed lining, which is not something we would normally do. This is our high top RB1 with the rubber foxing around it. Put the orange sole on. Very subtly referencing Star Wars shoe. The colour palette for all of the pieces, is earthy, is very real, and what I loved about Star Wars is the locations chosen were places on Earth, obviously, but in very far-flung places. Rag and Bone is about making great quality clothes and having a customer experience a process of discovery, realising how the insides of the garment are made, and that was always very important to us. And so for Star Wars, I think the way we did that was by incorporating these very subtle little details.
Prisoner transfer, cell block 1138.
I think anyone that's a true Lucas Star Wars fan will understand the reference. I don't need to explain it.
If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
When referencing that character, you didn't have a choice but to do something with that. It's good and fairly menacing at the same time. To have this very oversized hood and be something that you could hide behind, that was the main remit here. So the colour palette obviously references that cloak. Coming up with a t-shirt inspired by a stormtrooper, it's so tempting to do this big black and white thing, and it's quite difficult to restrain yourself from going full on into stormtrooper. That was my solution. I dropped an incredibly unsubtle hint that I'd always wanted a stormtrooper suit. And I was speaking to the man in charge of stormtrooper suits, so it was very well planned on my behalf. I was extremely excited when he said he would arrange for it, and it came when we opened the Tribeca store. It just seemed a shame not to share it with the world. That's epic, simple as that. I don't need to explain that. That's just two X-Wing fighters on a t-shirt. That's all I need. I mean, working with Disney and Star Wars was obviously very humbling. It's very important to me that the experience that we hope every rag and bone customer gets from everything that we make comes through in this collaboration. The attention to detail and every element of what we put into these clothes, I think, is inherently very rag and bone, and I hope people understand that.